Britton is a researcher at Crocodilus Park in Australia's Northern Territory. One of his experiments involved inserting small data loggers into crocodile stomachs. Of course, he then had to retrieve them from the belly of the beast.
This crocodile has been sedated. So that means she's relatively safe. But it doesn't last forever. So what we're going to do is just tie the jaws at the bottom here and also tie them up at the top. Just so that when she does start to wake up, she can't take my arm off. I might be crazy, but I'm not stupid. Okay, I'm just going to put some oil on my arm, just so that my arm goes down the throat very easily. Only ever use the best virgin olive oil for these animals. Oh, okay, now for the fun part. Okay, I just need to put my hand back beyond the palatal valve. It's very cool and wet down here. This might seem like a very strange way of getting anything out of the crocodile's stomach. But to be honest, I'd much rather do it this way than any other way. It's fast, it's efficient, it works every single time. Okay, now I've got my fingers to the opening of the stomach. And now I can push my hand forward into the stomach. And now I'm in the stomach.
Adam is not the only one inside the croc's stomach.
Crocodiles have got lots of parasites in their stomach. These things called roundworms.
We can only speculate as to the gruesome parasites that could have invaded the guts of Sarcosuchus.
And yeah, there's a few interesting things in here. Aha. That might be our data logger. Yeah, I can feel a logger. I'll tell you what, it's been completely smashed. Bring my arm out. Ah! Hold on, bud. I just got these teeth stuck in my shirt. Can you get them out? Bitten by a sedated crocodile. Whoa! Oh my goodness. Huh. So this is the data logger. This is the actual recording device. And this stuff here is the acrylic casing. This is actually covering the logger.
Something inside the crocodile's stomach has mangled the tough casing.
And these stones, these gastroliths, these are the culprits. This is what did it.
Crocodilians deliberately seek out and swallow these stones.
And you can imagine if my arms were the animal's stomach, if my hands were the stomach here, that when these stones are there and there's some food in here, you can just imagine it sort of grinding stuff up like that. Very good at smashing up hard objects like turtle shell.
Such stones are found in other animals that are related to crocodiles. In birds, the stones of the gizzard serve the same function. Perhaps most surprising, they've even been found in dinosaurs. In fact, if you opened up a Sarcosuchus, you might find a collection of golf ball-sized gastroliths. Enough to grind up a dinosaur.
You ready?
Paul has finished the cast of the skull. The fossil itself is too valuable and too heavy to use in the Supercroc's reconstruction.
Wow. Now we have an exact copy of both upper and lower jaws, and we can, for the first time in 110 million years, put them back together again to see how they operated and what they look like. Right there. Inside we go.
Paul has never seen anything like this. He believes the snout has no parallel in the history of crocodilians.
Right there. We're really surprised at the end to find this enormous schnoz. I mean, we just really didn't quite expect the size of this thing. And then the way these teeth interact. I mean, both of them are absolutely unique to Sarcosuchus.
Paul speculates that the scoop-like snout may have generated noise to attract mates or intimidate rivals. In either case, Supercroc's vast bellow, reverberating across the prehistoric landscape, would have had the desired effect. Whether mating or battling for a mate, crocodiles often injure each other. Croc researcher Adam Britton wondered how they could survive such a brutal ordeal.
Crocodiles are very, very powerful animals. They fight all the time, very territorial animals, and we all know how efficient they are with their teeth. They will rip each other's limbs off, almost without a second thought. They bite each other's tails off, and when they're fighting, the teeth can cause amazing gashes down the side, open the animal up, expose the muscle. If you saw any other animal receiving the same injury, you might think, you know, this animal is a goner. At the very least, it's going to get infected. Bacteria are going to get in there, the animal's just going to die from some kind of septicemia. With crocodiles, it just doesn't seem to happen very often. And so, you know, why? Why not? What is it about these animals that stops them from actually really suffering very badly from these kind of injuries?
Adam helped make the remarkable discovery that one species, the Australian saltwater crocodile, has a natural antibiotic in its blood. This powerful agent may protect the salties from infection. But do all crocodilians enjoy such protection? If so, it may offer another clue as to why crocodiles are such survivors. Adam can't know without more evidence. He needs to test the blood of a different species. Adam heads to the McKinley River, home to a healthy population of freshwater crocodiles.
He's making some distress calls now. Basically means that he's not very happy. They start producing distress calls when they're hatchlings, and that will actually bring help from the parents. But the bigger they get, the lower the frequency of the sound gets, and the other animals tend to ignore them after that. So he's just letting us know how annoying he is. Got it?
For the test to be scientifically valid, they'll need to capture several of the animals.
The catch. That's great. Let's go. Good enough. Yeah, let's go. Should be enough. Not a bad one, am I? You got the syringe and the needle. I'm going to try and take a blood sample here from a vein just behind the skull. It's very large and it just sits above the spine.
Naturally occurring antibiotics have been found in many very different animals, from the skin of frogs to the windpipes of cows.
But with crocodiles, it's very interesting that they have it in their blood. That's a big advantage for them because it means they can basically get the antibiotic to any part of their body really very quickly. So it's an extremely effective defense for them. Here's a big croc. Check this injury out on here. He's obviously been fighting. This injury is probably about, looks about 2 days old. A couple of big gashes down, fighting with another big male by the looks of things. If we were to sustain something like this, after a couple of days, especially sitting in this kind of water, full of bacteria, it would look a lot worse than this. We'd probably be in hospital by now. With these animals already, this is showing signs of healing. So there's something very interesting going on inside these animals.
The blood samples are shipped all the way from Darwin to a lab in Newark, New Jersey. Here, Dr. Vicky Kaiser has developed a technique for testing blood for natural antibiotics. She separates the blood into hundreds of samples. Each one is tested to see if it kills bacteria. 5 hours later, the samples show results. Around sample number 5, the bacteria were unable to grow. That means that, like the salties, the freshy blood does contain an antibiotic. Natural antibiotics can kill bacteria, as they can other simple organisms like this paramecium, by compromising the cell membrane, so the insides leak out. If crocodiles are as different as salties and freshies both have this kind of antibiotic, then maybe it is common to all crocodilians. It's quite possible that Sarcosuchus too shared this remarkable survival tool.
Okay, so when I take this off, he's free to open his mouth.
Back in Australia, Adam releases his captive crocodiles.
Go.
And something curious happens. The freshies literally gallop back to freedom.
Crocodiles gallop to get away from things. When they see any kind of threat and they're out of the water, which is not a safe place to be, then they just want to get back to the water as fast as they possibly can, and they'll move extremely quickly.
Crocodiles are unusual among reptiles in that they use a range of gaits to get around. Only the smaller, more terrestrial species gallop.
He's gonna go.
More common is a kind of crocodilian strut called the high walk. In times of drought, alligators use this walk to travel overland in search of water. It is a capability that may be key to their survival.
It's not a very fast gait, but it's a very useful gait in that the animal lifts its body off the ground, it can walk over obstacles.
At the other extreme is the belly crawl.
The advantage of having different ways of moving is that you have a choice, depending on how fast you want to get from A to B. So if you're on a very nice, slippery, muddy bank of a river, for example, and there's not really much rush to get there, then you can use a belly crawl. You simply slide down like a toboggan. Just use the limbs to literally propel yourself forwards.
Having a choice of different gaits is yet another way in which crocodiles are adaptable. And that kind of flexibility is the key to evolutionary success. Whether Sarcosuchus shared this is unclear, but Paul now knows enough about the animal to speculate about how it moved.
I think that probably Sarcosuchus would not have been as agile on land as a modern crocodile simply by the weight of its body. I would not say that it was not a quick animal. Their burst speed of even large and heavy animals was probably very great. The power would have been phenomenal. And I think leading that kind of sabotage ambush lifestyle, it would have been extremely effective against animals hiding out in the water. To have this animal at 30-foot length with an enormous tail powering itself out of the water in a flash of a second.
The Supercroc skull is complete. But to resurrect the whole animal, Paul needs the other 250-odd bones that make up a crocodile. He brought back from the desert bones from various individuals, but never a complete skeleton. Fortunately, he knows someone who can fill in the gaps. In the wilds of rural Maryland, there is a man who spends countless hours surrounded by his kids' toys, carving gigantic pink bones. This is Stephen Godfrey, part paleontologist, part sculptor. Behind its skull, the Sarcosuchus skeleton is similar to that of a modern crocodile, though it's many times as big. So Stephen uses bones from a contemporary croc and quadruples them in size to match the enormous Sarcosuchus skull. Stephen sends his sculpted bones to Paul in Chicago.
Waiting for him for about a week now. Wow, look at that. Look at this. This is the missing hip bone.
Here, Paul's team makes molds of every bone in the skeleton, which are then shipped to Canada to a company called PAST, Prehistoric Animal Structures. Here they turn disjointed bones into skeletons.
This one over here, this guy rolls on this thing.
The portrait of Sarcosuchus is becoming clearer. Modern crocodiles have provided a lens through which to view this prehistoric beast. Through that lens, we have seen that Supercroc may have had a wide range of survival tools on which to draw. From a staggeringly powerful bite to a natural antibiotic in its blood. From sophisticated parental care to an unexpected intelligence. But Paul must still answer two final questions before he can complete the finished Supercroc. Exactly how long was it? And what pose will best embody its essence? For the answers, he must head into the field again. This time, he seeks a crocodilian that more closely resembles Sarcosuchus. There is such a creature. It is rare, endangered, and exotic. But Paul knows just the man to help him find it.
Driving's more dangerous than the crocodiles, that's for sure.
Paul joins forces once again with field specialist Brady Barr in India, where they headed to a crocodile breeding facility in the town of Lucknow. They stop off en route to buy a net.
Nets are hard to come by in other parts of the world. There's a lot of work in that.
They are joined by Brady's colleague, Jerry Martin, an Indian herpetologist with expertise in his country's crocodilians.
You don't want it to get it, you know, you don't want it to have to fight against something that's really strong.
One of those species is the object of their mission, perhaps the oddest of today's crocodilians, the gharial. It is the gharial's curious snout, so similar to Sarcosuchus's, which has brought Paul here.
To actually see a surviving relative of one of these animals is just going to be spectacular. Just the way they move, the way they hide, the way they hunt. I'm going to be very curious about how its snout operates and how it lurks about in its habitat. I think it'll be very fascinating.
The team will work at the Cookrail Gharial Rehabilitation Center.
What are you looking for? Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, it's going down. It's going down. There's 3 of them.
You know, to capture the gharial means so much to me, being a crocodilian biologist, because it was so close to the brink of extinction. I mean, it was right there. I mean, it was ready to be marked off the list. So what an opportunity for me. I mean, it really is a chance of a lifetime.
They're heading for cover. We got to work it out for ourselves.
I know it.
Let's see if we can catch one.
Jerry Martin, one of the few people in the world with hands-on experience of gharials, knows that this task requires a paradoxical mix of brute force and a delicate touch.
The gharial's specialized jaw is very narrow, proportionate to its body, and it's very thin, and it's a big, heavy animal. It's very muscular because it swims a lot. So when you catch a gharial, it lashes around a lot. You might very easily hurt, damage, or maybe even break off its jaw. So you have to play it like you're catching a 2,000-pound marlin on a 2-pound test line. You need to be very careful.
Brady will have to be cautious and patient. The gharial is particularly hard to snare. Its snout is sensitive to the slightest movement.
Come this way.
They're all in a small space.
Brady has his eye on the big male, with the distinctive gara on the tip of its snout. But there are 8 gharials in this pond, and it's the crocodile you don't see that you have to fear. He must have literally stepped on one of the other animals. It reacted by swiping at him, raking his ankle with its teeth.
It's a good thing.
He was lucky it didn't actually bite him.
Just get this guy done with and you can see your legs. That's good. Yeah, it's going. It's out.
Should I just keep going?
Yeah, keep going back.
They finally managed to get a rope around its snout.
Further.
Stubby form. Look at it. They look like they've been...
Okay, can you guys pull him up a little further?
Yeah, we probably need to put him up the stairs here. Yeah, more tight, though, very tight.
Because he's going to jerk. Hang on tight.
Whew. Oh man, we caught the big boy. Caught an adult gharial. Took a bite in the process, but it was well worth it.
Do you mind if I clean this leech off his back?
Nah, concentrate on holding his legs
you
back.
holding those legs, quit
Forget the
fooling around.
Yeah, Sereno's back there playing games.
No, I just trying to clean a leech.
When I helped him dig up these bones, I was focused the whole time. I bring him out here helping us, and he's fooling around.
We don't have leeches on our boat, man. Beautiful animal.
Yeah, this is amazing. He's taking a big breath. Yeah, I'm looking at these scoots and I'm thinking, how much bigger Sarcosuchus is than this
Yeah, well,
thing?
you ought to look at these teeth up here.
Whoa.
Man, these things were almost extinct, in the 70s.
Down to just a few.
Yeah, just less than 200. I mean, and that's worldwide. That's animals in zoos, breeding facilities, and in the wild, less than 200.
But now they've come back.
Yeah, it's a real success story.
What's your head here? Cool.
Handling this animal, which so resembles its ancient relative, is as close as Paul is going to get to the Supercroc.
I'm thrilled, of course, to actually be up and actually feel the body of one of these things, because you're normally dealing with these impersonal fossilized bones. This is really up close. It's fabulous. It's unbelievable. You go over the big hole for the jaw muscles in Sarcosuchus, and now you can actually see the pumping muscle right underneath there. And we're dying to see how much it looks like this animal. But this is just amazing. 383. Wow. 12 feet, 12 and a half feet. 12 and a half feet.
That's a big animal.
Yes, it is. I'm all set up front here.
Paul begins to collect a range of data. To get enough measurements, they must capture a number of animals.
62, 61.
Woo!
Paul, you want to help him with that?
Yeah.
Paul is interested to get measurements from both ends of the size range. The hatchlings are wonderful miniature copies of the giant they earlier released.
We just settled for the largest.
Yeah, right.
All right, you guys ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Let's look it over here at me. Woo! You hear that snap? No, stay there. You're fine. You're fine.
Wow.
Stay still. Don't move. Don't move.
All right. Look at that.
Don't move.
Woo! All right, put her there, guys. Get it, man. All right. Yeah.
Back in Chicago, Paul now has the critical information he needs to finally calculate the length of the Supercroc. Using the data from India and Costa Rica, he generates the magic ratio, the relationship between head length and body length in Sarcosuchus.
Based on our measurements on living crocodilians, we think that Sarcosuchus measured 8 times its skull length. That's a lot longer than 20 feet, the record for a living crocodile. That's more than 30 feet. That's a 40-foot crocodile. A croc that even Brady would think twice about jumping on the back of.
Almost a year after they carved the skull out of the desert rock of Niger, and after months spent cleaning and studying bones, after traveling across the globe, capturing and measuring crocs, the culmination of Paul's quest is at hand. In a studio in the Rocky Mountains, Supercroc is coming to life. Paleoartist Gary Starb is creating the flesh-on model. Now Paul is going to get his first glimpse.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're a monster.
He is a monster.
Wow. Look at this leg.
It's a massive beast.
Wow, you've got just a beautiful motion going here on this. It's just absolutely gorgeous the way this thing is turning.
It's got that nice side slashing S-curve.
Wow. So you have to build quite a structure to hold this clay.
Right now we've got about 4,400 pounds of clay. So, and I'm sure we're going to come very close to about 5,000 by the time
More than 2 tons of clay. Can you imagine being hit by this tail?
I think this tail could flip over a truck.
And I love the way the skull is just tilted and gaping, about ready to swallow you.
For Paul, it is remarkable to see the animal he's been imagining for so long finally made flesh.
I've been dealing with static, beautiful but fossilized bones, individual bones. To see it together is just amazing. This really gives you a sense of the animal. You know, I've hopped on the back of a live crocodile. That was an amazing experience. To feel the power of the animal, particularly when it's coming back and ready to throw you off its back. And to imagine this animal alive would be incredible.
Yeah, it's funny because the people who have been in here and have seen it have said, this can't be life size. Can it? I said, it is life size.
You've got a dinosaur eater here.
Paul can now visualize the dinosaur eater. 110 million years ago, lurking in one of the huge rivers of the day. Its massive body concealed, primed for ambush. A group of juvenile ouranosaurs drinks warily at the water's edge. The Supercroc's ultra-sharp senses zero in, picking up the ripples from the lapping herbivores. The combination of speed and power is devastating. Its jaws slam down with many tons of force. Huge teeth penetrate the dinosaur's leathery hide. It is a 110-million-year-old drama that still plays out today. For Paul and Brady, there is one last trip to make, one final crocodile to encounter. They have come to see Sarcosuchus, the Supercroc. Months have passed since Paul last saw the unfinished model. Now the Supercroc and their quest are complete.
It's bigger than I imagined.
That is beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, that is just beautiful.
And the way he's got all this.
Unbelievable. And the detail is just amazing.
Yeah, no, it's just beautiful. When you see something that is so magnificent, that is so beyond human comprehension in terms of power and size, we tend to be awestruck. The most fundamentally important thing, I think, about Sarcosuchus is to get people to step back and think of 100 million years. Think of how much time has gone before them. Think of how many worlds with strange animals, bigger and more fearsome than they ever could imagine, existed before humans came on to reshape the surface of the earth.
The disappearance of Sarcosuchus shows us that extinction is a fact of life on Earth. But the Supercroc's legacy is alive in 23 species of crocodile, many of them endangered by the works of man. But today, all 23 species are protected. We know we can speed up the extinction process, but we can also slow it down. If we decide to do so, perhaps these magnificent beasts, the ultimate survivors, will outlast even us.